Good morning, everyone. My name is Vishwas. So today we are going to learn few topics from our NCERT books, as these topics are given in quite better form in our books or textbooks of class 9th. Right. This is chapter number 2. So what is a solution? A solution is basically a homogeneous mixture of two or more substances. That means which is having a uniform composition throughout. That solution is known as homogeneous mixture. So you can came across various types of solutions in our daily life. That is lemonade, soda water, etc. are all examples of solutions. Usually we think of a solution as a liquid that contains either solid, liquid or gas. So we think like solution is basically liquid only. No, it's not like that. It can be solid, it can be liquid, it can be a gas, right? So a gas can also be a homogeneous mixture, and a solid can also be homogeneous, like we talk about alloys. So what is an alloy? First of all, alloys are homogeneous mixture of metals and can be separated into their components by physical methods. Like alloys can be formed by mixing of two metals and with definite set of properties, and alloys will be having uh, similar to that properties because it shows the properties of constituent and can have variable composition. So might be one substance can be in some other amount, and the other substance amount can also be varied. For example, let's take brass. So brass is a mixture of approximately 30% zinc and 70% copper. So brass is an alloy which is made up of two elements. One is zinc that is present in 30% amount, and the other one is copper that is present in 70%. Right? So a solution has a solvent and a solute. So solution ke basically it consists of two parts. That is, one is solvent, the other one is solute. The component of the solution that dissolves the other component in it, right? Means अब जो कम amount में डिसॉल्व हो रहा है दैट इज नोन एज सल्यूट, एंड जो ज़्यादा अमाउंट में है दैट इज नोन एज सॉल्वेंट. सो सल्यूट can also be discussed as or defined as the component of a solution that is dissolved in the solvent, right? Which is usually present in a smaller quantity or lesser quantity is known as solute, and the component which is present in larger amount and which has the ability to dissolve the solute is known as solvent. I hope you have understand. जो कम क्वांटिटी में होगा दैट इज सल्यूट, एंड वट एवर इज इन लार्जर क्वांटिटी दैट इज नोन एज सॉल्वेंट. Basically solute dissolving solvent, right, to make a solution. Let's take some examples. A solution of sugar in water is a solid in liquid solution, right? In this solution, sugar is solute and water is solvent. And so this the whole solution which is formed by dissolving sugar and solvent is basically called a solution or sugar solution, right? Uh, Solution of iodine in alcohol, that's the most important thing. Iodine को जब alcohol में mix करते हैं, that solution is known as tincture of iodine. Here iodine is present in solid form and it is called as solute, and alcohol is present in liquid form and is known as solvent. That's the most important question that can come in 1 mark in your exams. Aerated drinks like soda, water, etc. are gas in liquid solution. For example, you might have drink soda, right? Flavored sodas are available in the market right now. So these contain carbon dioxide as solute and water as solvent. So water के अंदर they used to mix certain gases along with flavors, so that is known as basically a solution, and the gases is called solute and what is known as solvent in that case. So air is also a mixture of gas and gas. Air is a homogeneous mixture of number of gases. Its two main constituents are oxygen, that is 21%, and nitrogen, that is 78%. The other gases are present in very small quantities, right? So it is considered as a mixture of all the gases. Okay, now properties of a solution. A solution is a homogeneous mixture, right? The particles of a solution are smaller than 1 nanometer. That's the diameter of the particles that are present in a solution. So they cannot be seen with the naked eye. you have to use microscope in order to see that, because of very small particle size they do not scatter beam of light. So they cannot scatter beam of light as their particle size is very small, and they just allow the light to pass through the solution, so the path of light is not visible in the solution, right? Okay. Next is, the solution particles cannot be separated from the mixture by the process of filtration. The solute particles cannot be separated. मतलब solute को हम separate नहीं कर सकते mixture से by filtration or normal physical processes. The solute particles do not settle down when left undisturbed. That is, a solution is stable. जब solute के particles settle down नहीं होंगे, that means they are properly mixed in a uniform composition throughout the mixture or in the solvent, then it is basically known as, that kind of solution is known as a stable solution, right? Concentration of a solution. In activity 2.2, we have observed that groups A and B obtain different states of solution. So we understand that in a solution, the relative proportion of the solute and solvent can be varied. Depending upon the amount of solute present in the solution, it is called dilute. Means if the solute is present in smaller amount, that one is known as dilute. If the solute is present in little bit larger amount, that is known as a concentrated solution or a saturated solution. So dilute and saturated or concentrated are comparative terms. In the activity 2.2, the solution obtained by the group. Let's see this activity, right? So today we are going to do this activity 2.3. Take approximately 50 ml of water each in two separate beakers. So if you are not having beakers at home, you can take the glasses, right? Add salt in one beaker and sugar or barium chloride in the second beaker. You can add salt and sugar because you might not be having barium chloride, and continue stir the solution. When no more solute can be dissolved, heat the contents of the beaker. So when you will heat the contents of the beaker, what will happen? That solute that you have added, whether it's salt or whether it's sugar, it keeps on dissolving, right? And then a temperature at a till a particular temperature, it continues to dissolve, and after that, the dissolution or the dissolving capacity of the solution will reach up to its extent. After that, no more solute can be dissolved. So what we call it, let's see, is the amount of sugar or salt or barium chloride that can be dissolved in water at a given temperature same. At particular temperature, solution that has dissolved as much solute as it is capable of dissolving is said to be saturated, right? So जब तक वो डिसॉल्व कर पा रहा था at a particular temperature, that solution is known as saturated solution. In other words, when no more solute can be dissolved, this is the definition of saturated solution. When no more solute can be dissolved in a solution at a given temperature, it is known as saturated solution. जब एक solution की capacity खत्म हो गई है या रीच कर गई है, इससे ज़्यादा वो solute को नहीं dissolve करेगा, that is known as a saturated solution. The amount of solute present in the saturated solution at this temperature is called its solubility. So जितना वो amount of solute dissolve कर चुका है saturated solution at a particular temperature, that amount is known as solubility. So what is unsaturated solution now? If you can dissolve solute and in the solution, so that is known as basically unsaturated solution if the amount of solute contained in a solution is less than the saturation level. मतलब जितना एक solution saturated होने तक dissolve कर सकता है, that is known as unsaturated solution. जब उसका level reach कर गया, वो saturated हो गया, that is known as saturated level, and below that every amount of solute when you are going to dissolve, that came under the category of unsaturated. So what would happen if you were to take a saturated solution at a certain temperature and cool it slowly? We can infer the above activity that different substances in a given solvent have different solubilities at the same temperature. So the solubility can vary along with the temperature. The solubility goes on increasing with the increase in temperature basically. So this thing you have to keep in mind that the solubility increases with the increase in temperature. The concentration of a solution is the amount of solute present in given amount. राइट सो कंसंट्रेशन क्या होती है, कितना अमाउंट ऑफ सोल्यूट प्रेजेंट है एक गिवन अमाउंट ऑफ मास और वॉल्यूम में एक सोल्यूशन की. द अमाउंट ऑफ सोल्यूट व्हिच इज डिसॉल्व्ड इन अ गिवन मास और वॉल्यूम ऑफ अ सॉल्वेंट इज नोन एज कंसंट्रेशन. For example, how to find the concentration amount of solute upon amount of solution. That means volume of solute upon volume of solution. कि कितना concentrated है solute ऊपर रखें, कितना आपने लिया है quantity of solute and divide it by the quantity or the total amount of solution. That you will get the concentration. So there are certain formulas to find out mass by mass percentage of the solution. For example, mass of solute upon mass of solution into 100. So what happens in this case is mass by volume percentage of the solution, mass of solute upon volume of solution into 100. As you can see, both these formulas are approximately same only, right? This is mass percentage and this is volume percentage. Here there is an error in the NCERT. Here should be volume of solute, right? It can be mass also, it can be volume also, both are correct in this case. So let's see one example or numerical. You can say a solution contains 40 gram of common salt in 320 gram of water. A 40 gram of common salt, this is what we call a solute, and 320 gram of water, that is known as solvent. अब हमें क्या चाहिए था, we have to find out mass of solute, sorry, we have to find out mass percentage of the solution. So basically what we have to know mass of solute and mass upon mass of solution. So in order to get the mass of solute, you can see here it's given 40 gram of common salt. Common salt is solute over here and water is solvent over here, and the total mass of solution, in order to get, you have to add both these things. So 40 plus 320, that is 360 gram, right? So mass percentage of solution is mass of solute upon mass of solution into 100. So mass of solute is 40 upon mass of solution that we have obtained here, that is 360 multiplied by 100, that is 11.1%, right? Okay, that's a quite simple example. Now, what do you mean by a suspension? Suspension means non-homogeneous systems like those obtained by Group C in Activity 2.2 that we have already done, in which solids are dispersed in liquids, are called suspensions. So जब solid disperse हो रहे हैं liquids में, that is known as basically suspensions, right? मतलब suspend हो रहा है, ऊपर दिखाई दे रहा है, visible है. The suspension is a heterogeneous mixture because visible है, तो that means वो mix नहीं हुआ properly. That is known as a heterogeneous mixture or heterogeneous solution in which the solute particles do not dissolve but remain suspended throughout the bulk of the medium. So ज़्यादातर amount इनकी bulk of the medium मतलब पूरे के पूरे सोल्यूशन के अंदर ज़्यादातर ये जो सोल्यूट के पार्टिकल्स हैं दे रिमेन सस्पेंडेड और यूनिफॉर्मली डिसॉल्व नहीं होते. दैट मीन्स दे आर प्रेजेंट इन नॉन यूनिफॉर्म मैनर, राइट? So particles of suspension are visible with the naked eye. Properties of suspension. Let's see. First property is they are heterogeneous in nature. Second property is the particles of a suspension can be seen with the naked eye. ये हम normal eye से देख सकते हैं, right? The particles of a suspension scatter a beam of light passing through it and make the path visible. So the size of the particles are little bit larger than uh, solutions, right? So in this case, what is going on is, as the size is larger, they can able to spread or scatter light, so they can make the path of the light as visible. Like you can take an example of Tyndall effect. The solute particles settle down when a suspension is left undisturbed. That is, a suspension is unstable. They can be separated from the mixture by the process of filtration. So solute particles are quite larger in size and they are heavy too. So when we just leave the solution for some time undisturbed, we will keep the solution undisturbed at a particular place. You will observe that the particles, they get settled down after some time. So these kind of mixtures can be separated by the process of filtration, right? So what is a colloidal solution right now? Let's see. The mixture obtained by group D in activity 2.2 is called as colloidal solution. Just go by that activity again. The particles of a solid collide are uniformly spread throughout the solution. Collide के केस में the particles are uniformly spread due to the relatively smaller size of the particle as compared to that of suspension. The mixture appears to be homogeneous. Mixture क्या है? Mixture is homogeneous, but it is actually heterogeneous in nature. For example, milk. Because of the small size of the colloidal particles, we cannot see them with naked eyes, but these particles can easily scatter a beam of light as observed in the activity. You can see this activity. So in this, the particles light can be scattered. This scattering of beam of light is called Tyndall Effect after the name of the scientist who discovered this effect. So, Tyndall effect can also be observed when a fine beam of light enters a room through a small hole. This happens due to the scattering of light by the particles of dust or smoke in the air. So, what is Tyndall effect basically? When there is a dark room and there is a window in that dark room and the light enters from outside to inside from that particular window, you can observe uh, the ray of the path of light is quite visible. Why it is visible? Because there are some dust particles that are lying in your room, which makes the path of that light visible, right? You can do with this kind of experiment also. Now, Tyndall effect can be observed when sunlight passes through the canopy of the dense forest. You can see this figure also. This is basically also known as Tyndall effect. This has been occurred because the forest contains some tiny water droplets, or there are some other dust particles also they are present in the atmosphere, which act as the particles of collide dispersed in air. So they act as the colloidal particles. Now we are going to learn about the properties of collide. A colloid is a heterogeneous mixture. A heterogeneous mixture but appears to be homogeneous. The particle size is too small to be individually seen with the naked eye. Colloids are big enough to scatter a beam of light. So ये थोड़े इतने तो होते हैं that they can scatter a beam of light and make the path of light visible. They do not settle down when left undisturbed. ये settle down नहीं होते, suspended suspended भी नहीं, ये यूनिफॉर्मिटी के अंदर रहते हैं. दैट्स व्हाई वी कॉल इट एज homogeneous, but it is actually heterogeneous because all the other properties they are showing of the heterogeneous mixture. So we can say that colloid is stable than suspension. They cannot be separated from the mixture by the process of filtration, but a special technique of separation known as centrifugation can be used to separate the colloidal particles. So what happens in this case is, so they can be separated by the process of filtration. For example, centrifugation, you might be knowing about this. I have already explained in my previous video. We are going to discuss it from the NCERT because in NCERT it's quite good, and it's written in quite easy language. So the components of a solution are the disperse phase and the disperse medium. The solute-like component or the dispersed particles in a colloid form the dispersed phase, and the components in which the dispersed phase is suspended is known as dispersing medium. This is the basically definition. You can learn it from here. I'm explaining now. जो solute particles या component होते हैं, जो dispersed पार्टिकल्स भी हम इसे बोल सकते हैं. तो ये जब कोलाइडल फॉर्म में प्रेजेंट होते हैं एक फेज के अंदर, डिस्पर्स फेज के अंदर, मतलब कोई भी छोटे मोटे पार्टिकल्स हैं, सपोज पार्टिकल्स ऑफ डस्ट इन केस ऑफ अ डार्क रूम, वो क्या है, वो उन्हें हम कहेंगे डिस्पर्स पार्टिकल्स या सल्यूट लाइक कंपोनेंट, राइट. सो फेज क्या हुआ, फेज हुआ वो आपका एयर कॉलम जो है, दैट मीन्स द एयर और present in that dark room, that is dispersed phase, and the component in which the dispersed phase is suspended, अब उस component को हम कहेंगे dispersing medium, right. कि वो कहाँ इस तरह का act कर रहा है. तो basically air is known as dispersed medium and those particles are known as dispersed phase, right. Colloids are classified according to the state of the dispersing medium and the dispersed phase. So colloids क्या हैं? Colloids are classified according to the states. Basically They can be solid, they can be liquid, they can be gas. So accordingly, the dispersing medium and dispersed phase, they keeps on changing, right? A few examples are given in table 2.1. From this table, you can see very common examples from day-to-day life. This is the table. Dispersed phase, liquid, gas, aerosol. For example, fog, clouds, and mist. So let's understand. Fog is basically a kind of aerosol or gaseous form, you can say. So dispersing medium is that medium जिसमें वो present है, वो gas जैसे ही बाहर आता है gaseous form में होता है, और disperse phase क्या है, जब उसे dissolve करना होता है तो liquid form में होता है, right? So smoke, you can understand this. Smoke is basically heavier particles, dust particles, that is in solid form, and dispersing medium is in gaseous form. Like we have given an example over here of Tyndall Effect. So in this first phase is basically in solid form, as these are dust particles, right? And when we talk about dispersed medium, that is in gaseous form because they are present in gas, right? Okay. So there are few other examples, you can go through it. Make this table and try to solve these questions on your own. So in this video, we are going to study till here only. In the next video, we are going to come up with certain more topics, and that video is quite equally important and will contain most of the important questions that can come in your exams. So stay home, stay safe, help your parents, and it's time to say goodbye right now. So goodbye and have a nice day. Study hard.